Hero is the son of two extremely talented wizards who reside in an ancient fantastical world full of magic and magical beasts. The continent of Japan is plagued by the presence of a giant evil dragon called Zot, and no one is powerful enough to stop the dragon from doing what it pleases. The dragon goes around destroying cities and burning entire countries to the ground, and no one is strong enough to even try and delay the attack so that people can evacuate. A brave group of wizards that included Hero's parents tried to seal the dragon once and for all by pretending to sacrifice Hero's mom to the dragon, but as soon as Zot appeared, they all quickly tried binding the beast with their magic. Their magic, however, isn't strong enough to stop the dragon, and he tries to attack Hero. Hero's father quickly casts a very powerful protection spell on Hero, which somehow is able to protect him but also connects both Hero and the dragon by the same mark. The dragon then goes berserk and destroys the entire ritual ground alongside every single person around, leaving only Hero alive thanks to his father's protective spell. Hero is then taken in by Juru, one of the followers of Hero's parents who is also a swords master, and ever since that day, Hero has decided to avenge his parents' deaths by killing the dragon once and for all. 10 years have passed since the incident, and Hero travels to a new town, where he is checked by the guards before being let through into the city. He wanders around the area and looks for anything unusual, when suddenly a small girl comes forth and announces the arrival of a lord called Nambu. He comes on a chariot, surrounded by a bunch of guards, and throws copper coins at the people surrounding the area. The people seem to be very happy and fight with each other to pick up the coin. Hero is very surprised after seeing this and wonders who this lord is, but suddenly notices a small kid who picks up a coin and runs away from him. When the kid reunites with his friends, one of them smacks him and tells him to leave the coin where he took it from, as it is coming from Nambu, who is a crappy person, and all this money that he is distributing is the money he stole from the general public through politics. Hero takes an interest in the kids and notices that the kid who picked up the coin runs up and hides inside the chariot while no one is looking. He then leaves the area and goes near the market, where a person is trying to sell a crest, which is apparently an heirloom item said to be directly descended from the hero who last defeated the dragon. Hero takes an interest in it, but notices that the boy who scolded the other fat boy for taking the coin snatched the crest away. He tries to run, but is captured by the seller, who hands him over to his giant bodyguard. He tells him to punch the kid 3 times and to take the crest back, but before he could do so, Hero took out his sword and aimed it at the giant man, telling him to let the kid go and pay twice as much money as the seller wanted. The seller happily lets the kid go, and Hero takes the kid into an alleyway and asks whether he's okay. The kid snaps at him and calls him a dumbass, as this was all his plan. He was just distracting the seller and his guards so that the rest of his gang could steal his entire money bag instead of this crappy crest. He then turns around and runs off into the alley, telling Hero that he is stealing the crest for him as compensation for wasting his gang's time. Hero is shocked to see that the kid was able to steal the crest from his hand even without him noticing and pursues him. He quietly enters the kid's hideout and surprises the kid by stealing the crest back from him. The kids surround him, telling him that he cannot escape, but Hero very stupidly jumps out of the window backwards, just for style points. He then starts running away while the kids chase him on top of the roofs and on the roads. He keeps running away from them just for fun, but suddenly, one of the kids slips from the rooftop and starts falling. Thankfully, however, Hero is able to grab his hand at the last moment, saving his life. Before he could ask whether he is okay, however, another kid comes out of an alley and screams at the leader of the kids that the fatty who snuck into Nambu's chariot got caught, and Nambu has ordered his execution come dawn. The leader tells the rest to quickly go to the ground as they have to save Fat no matter what. Hero seems to find all of this very amusing and follows them. He reaches the execution grounds where the small girl, who seems to have a lot of magical power, is screaming about how Fatty snuck into their chariot and tried stealing a very valuable magical orb that belongs to Nambu. She tells the people to heed caution as they are going to make an example out of this boy, and if anyone tries to wrong Nambu, he will have to suffer the same fate. She orders the guards to execute him, but before they can do so, Hero moves forward, talking big talks and trying very hard to act cool. A bit too hard, I'd say. He tells them to let the kid go, otherwise they'll have to deal with him. The little magic girl makes fun of him and tells the guard to beat him up, and the guards surround him from all sides. They try to attack him, but he dodges their attack, jumps over them, and kicks 2 of them away before brandishing his sword. The magic girl uses a spell on him, which causes a huge explosion, but Hero is fast and is able to dodge the attack before taking his sword out, and he rushes towards her, attacking all the guards on the way. Surprisingly, every single guard is completely fine and unharmed. Hero turns around and is surprised to see that, and he says that he believes he hit all of them, but because his sword is too short, none of them actually got hit. The magic girl laughs at him and tells the guards to surround him from all sides. He tells them to discuss the problems between them so that no one gets hurt. What a coward. Suddenly, a man enters the area screaming Hero's name and starts punching the guards away. He turns out to be Juru, the guy who took Hero in and the one who trained him in the art of swordsmanship alongside his little familiar. The guards surround them, and the magic girl takes out the magical orb that belonged to Nambu. Hero is shocked to see that the magical orb they are talking about belongs to his father's staff, and he screams at her to give it back. The magic girl, however, draws on the powers of the orb and launches an insanely strong attack at them, but surprisingly the attack gets deflected and lands on a mountain, destroying it. She looks at them in surprise, not knowing what happened, when suddenly the evil dragon Zot starts emerging from the ground. Everyone starts running as the dragon emerges and locks his eyes on Hero, and at the same time the mark on his body starts hurting him. He is completely consumed by rage, and without thinking anything, he decides to jump and attack the dragon. The dragon is easily able to swat him down and knock Hero out. Jiro quickly runs up to protect him and tries to shield him from any more attacks. All of the guards in the area start shooting crossbows in the direction of the dragon, without any care for Jiro or Hiro being in the way. The arrows have no effect on the dragon, but they start falling in the direction of Hiro, and Jiro tries his best to cover him with his body, but to everyone's surprise, the dragon deflects all the arrows coming towards them and starts destroying the city before disappearing just as suddenly as he came. Jiro quickly grabs Hiro and takes him near the kid's hideout, where he tells them Hiro's backstory while he sleeps. Suddenly, he wakes up from a bad dream and is still dazed from his encounter with the dragon. He asks Jiro where the dragon is. Jiro explains to him about the strange behavior of the dragon and how it ran away afterwards. Hiro tells him that he's going to fight the dragon, but Jiro stops him. Hiro tells him to let him go, but Jiro has gotten a firm hold on him. The leader of the kids makes fun of Hiro for even thinking that he can defeat the dragon with his skills, and even Jiro tells him that it is a bad idea. Pal, their small beast friend, also agrees and tells him to find an alternate way to deal with the dragon. Hiro suddenly remembers his father's orb, which is in the hands of Nambu right now. He decides that his first order of business is to get the orb from Nambu and figure out how to draw its full power so that he can be a step closer to defeating the evil dragon. He asks the leader of the kids about the location of Nambu, and he replies that he has already left the city. He informs him that Nambu won't stay long as he is an arms dealer. He visits different countries and sells them weapons before turning them against each other so that they fight, which will require even more weapons. Whichever side pays him more ends up winning the war and gaining even more power, subsequently giving Nambu even more power. They walk around the city when they realize that all of them are hungry. Pal, however, tells them that they don't have a lot of money, so they'll have to fight for a cheap place. They spot a couple of places, but all of them deny them entry because they associate the dragon with Hiro because it protected him. The three of them walk around the alleys, sad and hungry, when suddenly a cat woman calls them from above and jumps down to talk to them. She tells them to follow her as she has a place where they will get enough food and drinks. She takes them to a place where they order a bunch of food and start eating. While having their lunch, the cat woman starts asking Hiro questions about Zot and where he came from, and finally asks whether he is the son of the famed magician who tried sealing the dragon away. Jiro gets alert at this statement and reaches for his sword, but the woman just gets up and introduces herself as Eren before calling Hiro by name and telling him that they will meet again. She then walks out, leaving them to finish their lunch. After lunch, when Pal was getting up, the restaurant people brought him a bill, which surprised him, as he thought the establishment was owned by the Catwoman and all this food was free. That's why he ordered the most expensive food from the restaurant. He is forced to spend the majority of the money they had to pay for it, and is even unable to get a room and in to sleep. Instead, they end up going to the kids' place where Hiro lays down while the leader of the kids tells them to piss off. Fatty, however, intervenes and tells the leader that Hiro and his group did save his life, which changes the kids' minds, and he decides to let them stay here for a night. The next morning, they are greeted with an amazing breakfast spread cooked by Jiro himself. They'd all eat their fill before Jiro tells Hiro that they need to practice his swordsmanship, as even after 10 years, he is a very crappy swordsman. Jiro takes Hiro and Pal outside the city and shows Hiro a bunch of small slimes that are very weak monsters, but can be very fast and annoying. He tells them to kill them all and leaves Pal to look over him while he himself goes to do some other work in the city. Hiro tries persistently to kill the slimes, but he is unable to kill any of them, which is very embarrassing after his big talks. He keeps making excuses like his sword is too short or that the slimes are too small, but in all honesty, he is just a trash swordsman. He believes that if the target was a bit bigger, he would be able to deal with them very easily. Suddenly, he spots a giant sand dragon behind Pal and decides to attack it and sell its remains to the shop, which might give him a bunch of money. He jumps forward and hits the dragon, but does no damage and he is forced back. Suddenly, the dragon opens his mouth and a young girl of the same age as Hiro comes out of it and thanks the sand dragon. The dragon simply goes away and the girl walks towards Hiro before hugging him and telling him to come with her. She introduces herself as Sarah and asks for his name. Hiro introduces himself and then asks if she has any business with him, to which she replies that she does not. He then asks her why she is here, to which she replies that from now on she will stay wherever Hiro is. Hiro is extremely confused by this situation as a random girl just emerged from a dragon's mouth and is now telling him that she will stay with him forever. Shortly, Jiro arrives and asks Hiro about the girl, to which he and Pal explain the entire incident. He seems to be very apprehensive of her and even draws his sword, but Hiro tells him that she seems harmless. Jiro then advises him that they should just sneak by and not get involved in matters that don't concern them. Hiro looks around and spots Sarah crouching on the ground and picking pebbles, and Jiro meanwhile makes him sneak past her, and they start running away. Even when he is running away, he can't help but look back at her longingly. After they reach back to their hideout, Hiro seems to be lost in thought, and the kids make fun of him about this, claiming that Hiro is in love and all he needed was a girl to forget his vengeance, and now he is not going to deal with the dragon anymore. Hiro flips out at them, tells them that the dragon takes priority for him no matter what, and starts eating his lunch. He looks at the kid and tells him that the girl looked very lonely and lost. She was literally picking pebbles and he left her alone in the desert. That is why he feels bad, and that's it. The kid looks at him and tells him that all the rest of the kids in his group are orphans. None of them had anyone to look after them, and every single one of them survived and was able to find each other and become friends. She will also survive and find friends if she wants them. Hiro looks at him, but before he could say anything suddenly, Sarah barges through the door and walks straight towards Hiro, saying that I found you. Hiro tells everyone that she cannot stay outside and will be staying with them, and then she takes her to the room inside. I don't know why they went inside the room, but they did. The next day, Hiro takes Sarah with her and goes out into the desert once again to train. He is still unable to deal with the slime, no matter how hard he tries. Sarah doesn't seem to have any social intelligence and has no idea how the world operates. Hiro starts thinking about how she will survive if she is on her own, but his thoughts are interrupted by a low growl. When he turns behind him, he sees a giant wolf standing on top of a hill looking down on him. He immediately gets out his sword and tells Sarah to stay where she is. The wolf jumps at him and tries to stab it but fails, and the wolf gets a good hit in, injuring his shoulder. To his surprise, the wolf then proceeds to ignore him completely and moves towards Sarah. He starts flailing his sword around, trying to catch the wolf's attention, but the wolf isn't taking his eyes off Sarah and is slowly moving towards her. He decides to make one last-ditch effort to save her and runs straight up to the wolf. The wolf then turns around and jumps on him, but thankfully he's able to slide beneath him and by luck, hit the wolf right between the eyes with his sword, immediately killing it. He asks whether Sarah was okay, and she replies that she was fine but went into a state of trance, which happens sometimes. She looks at Hiro's bleeding soldier and puts her wand near it. Suddenly, the wound starts healing, and within a matter of seconds, it is completely healed. Hiro thanks her and then carries the wolf back to the market, where he is able to sell it for a decent bit of money. He starts walking back, but on the way he spots a group of guards forcing a father away from his child so that they can take the father and force him to work in the mineshafts. Hiro is unable to stand and watch this injustice, or more realistically, he just wanted to impress Sarah, but he goes up to the guards and tells them to unhand him immediately. The guards obviously don't listen to him and try to intimidate him, but Hiro the dumbass dodges one of their blows and acts smugly to impress Sarah, but immediately gets struck by the second spear in the head and gets knocked out, and Sarah doesn't do anything because he explicitly told her to just stand and watch. She just stands there and comforts the children while the guards drag Hiro away. Sometime later, the kid and Jiro both arrive and ask Sarah what happened. Sarah explains everything to them, and then they decide to infiltrate the mansion where he is being kept captive to save him. Hiro, on the other hand, wakes up in a prison surrounded by a bunch of other men who seem to have lost all hope of escape. The father who Hiro is trying to save looks at him and apologizes for dragging him into the mess, as most of the people who go to work in the mineshaft are never able to come out of it alive because of the terrible work conditions there. Hiro gets up and tries to inspire them that they should not lose hope so easily, and he will lead them all to freedom and safety. He then produces the fake crest that he overpaid for when he first came into the town and starts hammering it on the wall, claiming that he will make a hole through the wall and break it. The rest of the prisoners look at him as if he were mad and just start brooding over their misfortune to be captured alongside an idiot like Hiro. Thankfully for everyone, however, Hiro's friends are not half as incompetent as him and are able to infiltrate the mansion and free everyone from the prison. They then run away and return to their hideout, preparing for the coming days. The next day after breakfast, Jiro tells Hiro that today he has to go and train again, and Hiro believes that he will simply go with Sarah again and have a fun time, but he doesn't know that Jiro has other plans for him. He tells him that he is going with him, not Sarah. Hiro seems annoyed at that fact and looks at him accusingly. Jiro tells him that it's for his benefit, and Hiro agrees to go. After coming on the road, he realizes that he is still being followed by Sarah, so he tells her not to follow him today as he will be back soon and gives her a gold coin, telling her to roam around and see whether she likes anything, and if she does, she can buy it with the money. This idiot knows that Sarah knows nothing about this world, and yet he told her to roam around in a dangerous city all alone. She calls the gold coin a pretty pebble, for God's sake. How can Hiro be so dumb? She wanders off, and Hiro follows Jiro again into the desert. Once there, he thinks that he will be fighting the slimes again and gets his sword out, complaining all the while about how he is sick of fighting these slimes, but Jiro is ready to completely destroy his career. He outright calls Hiro a crappy swordsman. He tells him that all he does is talk big talk about how he's going to take revenge and kill the dragon. But in reality, he's a pathetic little man who cannot achieve anything by himself. Hiro starts getting triggered and tells him to shut up, but Jiro continues telling Hiro the truth about him. He is weak and has no tenacity. If he was really so serious about killing the dragon, he would have trained every day on his own. Instead, Jiro literally has to push him to go and train, and even after so many days, he's unable to kill even a single slime. He tells Hiro that he is nothing compared to his parents, and he can never be enough to do anything if he keeps going the way he is going. This finally tilts him completely, and Hiro rushes towards Jiro like an idiot and gets stabbed to the ground like an idiot, getting knocked out and bleeding. Suddenly, Pal and Tom emerge from behind a rock and rush up to Jiro, asking him if he has lost his mind as the injuries are very deep. Jiro, however, picks him up without a word and tells them that they are going to the healing springs. He explains that he saw a quest that said that a squid monster is seen inside the healing springs, and anyone who gets rid of it will receive 300 gold coins. That's why he chose a training area closer to the spring, so that they can get a little rough. They go into the springs and Jiro lays him down inside the water, and in no time his wounds heal completely. Jiro tells them that he wanted to see whether Hiro had a strong resolve, and whether he would attack him for real if Jiro was standing in the way of revenge, but he never expected him to have such a strong resolve that he would try to go for the kill. Jiro then tells them that he thinks they are ready to move forward from this town and go after Nambu. Hiro is extremely happy listening to this, and he starts planning the things that they will need for the journey, but he suddenly stops when he hears a big sound coming from the other end. They are all shocked to see a giant squid inside the spring alongside the magic girl. The magic girl commands the squid to capture Hiro, but the squid goes for Sarah instead and also grabs the magic girl. The squid starts destroying everything around them and throws the magic girl away. Thankfully, Jiru rushes to Sarah's rescue and chops the squid into 1,000 pieces, killing it. Hiro runs around looking for Sarah and he notices a shining thing inside the spring. He runs towards it to find the gold coin clutched inside an unconscious Sarah's hand. He picks her up and is happy to see that she seems to be okay. They then try to go get the bounty for killing the squid, but it turns out the quest was fake, set up by the magic girl, who wanted to lure Hiro to the spring. Regardless though, they are able to get a lot of money after selling the squid meat, which is enough to buy a set of chainmail for everyone in the party. The next day, they start leaving, and surprisingly, Tom runs up to them and declares that he will be going with them. The rest of the kids are shocked as they don't know what to make of their boss suddenly ditching them. They cry and moan to try and stop Tom, but Tom is one heartless lad and ditches them nonetheless. On the way, they meet Erin again, perched up on the rock, and she tells them that she has the exact location of Nambu and will only give it to them if they let her accompany them. And Hiro immediately agrees, happy to get another girl in the party, I guess. They all begin their journey and enter a desert where everyone else seems to be less excited, but Hiro, the senseless idiot, thinks that traveling through the desert, one of the harshest places, would be a joyride. They walk through some difficult terrain, cross some bridges, and finally reach an area that has a few trees and some shade where they can rest. Jiru starts planning their day and preparing for the journey ahead. He plans to make a camp somewhere close by because this area has a small stream, which means they won't have to look far for water, and because of the trees, there must be a bunch of animals as well, which they can hunt and eat. They all seem to be pretty content with the place when suddenly, Erin senses something and looks behind to see a giant bird flying towards them at an incredible speed. The bird misses her by a few inches, but decides to turn back and attack them again. Everyone else hides behind a giant rock, but because Hiro is a pathetic man with no power, he tries to show everyone how cool he is, thinking that killing a bird wouldn't be that hard. Jiru tries to stop him, but he doesn't listen to him and jumps towards the bird, only to get smacked away by it instantly. Jiru, however, quickly jumps towards the bird and manages to scare it away, protecting Hiro from any unnecessary damage. Jiru tells the rest that they are going inside the forest to make a camp, but the rest seem to be against this decision as they are scared of the bird coming back. Jiru, however, reassures them by telling them that the bird will have more trouble attacking them in a dense forest, as it will be very hard to maneuver through it. They still seem to be a bit apprehensive, especially for the night, but Hiro the dumbass tries to raise their spirits by telling them that they don't have to worry, as he will be staying on guard tonight and nothing can harm them when he is there. I am pretty sure it made the others even more anxious to hear that the pathetic Hiro was going to guard them. They all agree with Jiru nonetheless. They all set up camp for the night, and Jiru and Hiro go on watch duty while Pal and Tom smoke the meat to preserve it, and Erin and Sarah go to fetch some water. While smoking some meat, Pal reminds them that it has been some time since the two girls went to fetch water, and maybe someone should go and check them out. Hiro, obviously, is a simp, and he volunteers to go find them. He goes near the moonlit lake calling for Sarah when he hears a beautiful melody, which turns out to be Erin playing her harp on a tree. She tells Hiro not to worry, as Sarah is on the other end playing with water. Hiro looks at her and asks her why she is here. She has nothing to gain from this expedition. Erin replies that she is a seller of information and people give her a good price for the right information, and if she travels with him, she will always have information about the movement of Nambu, which will benefit both her and Hiro. The next day, they start traveling through the desert, where unbeknownst to them, the bird is still following them, translating all the data to Nambu, and the magic girl is back at their base. They, however, fail to notice it, and magic girl takes advantage of it. They walk near the end, where the desert connects with the sea, but suddenly, a magic girl along with her troops and a couple of giant golems appear through a magic circle and straight up attack our gang. Jiru tells everyone to stick near him, but obviously because of the absolute pain in his ass, Hiro tells him to take care of the rest while he deals with the magic girl. Jiru screams at him to stop, but he doesn't, and he engages the magic girl in a duel. Jiru tries to follow Hiro, but the giant bird tries to attack the rest, so he is forced to stand his ground. Hiro and the magic girl both run towards each other, and the magic girl uses a pretty powerful electrical magic blast, which again hits Hiro very easily, and he falls to the ground screaming. Jiru looks at his pathetic performance and knows he will have to help him, so he tells the rest to follow him as closely as possible while he slays any enemy that dares come near him. Hiro, on the other hand, tries to get up. The magic girl uses another attack, which unleashes a bunch of ice shards at him. He tries to block them with his sword but fails, and even his sword breaks. Jiru becomes desperate to save him and runs up one of the golems, stabbing its core and killing it in one blow. Pal decides that things are getting out of hand, so he uses a magical card that summons a girl through a magical chest. She asks Pal what he wants, and he replies that he wants Sarah and Tom to be taken somewhere safe. And then he simply throws both of them inside the chest, and then the girl gets in, and the chest disappears. Magic Girl walks towards Hiro with her guards and uses him as a lure to bring out Jiru, who rushes forward to save him, but Magic Girl is ready for it and uses her dark magic to capture him. She then starts torturing him, slowly bringing him closer to death in front of Hiro, telling him that he is the reason Jiru is going to die. Which, when you think about it, is not really wrong. She tells Hiro to stop resisting and come with her to Nambu, and they will let Jiru live. But if he doesn't, she will torture and kill Jiru in front of him. Hiro is stuck in limbo now. On one end, he cannot let himself be captured, but on the other end, he cannot let Jiru die. She keeps stabbing Hiro's hand while torturing Jiru, all the while forcing him to reach a decision, but something inside of Hiro snaps, and he slashes at the magic girl's umbrella, throwing it away. He gets completely enveloped in an eerie purple aura, and his nails start becoming more like claws. He gets up and within a couple of seconds destroys every single guard around him just with his bare hands, which utterly shocks the magic girl, who just looks at him with her mouth open. She starts backing off, but after killing everyone, he jumps to finish her and the final remaining guard, but the magic girl quickly gets her umbrella back and creates a magic circle around her. Hero jumps to reach her, but midway he collapses and becomes unconscious, and his aura goes away just in time for the magic girl to escape. Hero finally wakes up and finds himself in the middle of nowhere. His whole body feels weak and he is having trouble even speaking. Through the desert heat, he spots a caravan going by him, and to his surprise on the caravan, he spots none other than Nambu himself, alongside a regal-looking woman. At first he thought that they were here to capture him, but it turns out that even Nambu doesn't give a crap about him, which is very sad to be honest. He starts following the caravan instead of looking for Juru, the person who almost died protecting his life. He hides behind a rock and sees that the caravan has formed a circle near a valley. They have surrounded two guys and an orc, who are all tied to metal chains. Nambu looks at the woman and calls her queen, which makes Hero think that the woman must be the queen of some country, which Nambu is selling weapons to. He tells her that he has brought her to show her something that he has created specifically for her. He then calls the doctor, who is working on top of the cliff. He presses some buttons and a bunch of molten liquid falls on the orc and the humans. The queen backs off in disgust and Hero watches in horror as the steam fades. The humans have vanished from the chains and the orc has been converted into a hot gloopy mess. Suddenly, however, the goop starts moving and a hybrid freak monster erupts from it. Nambu proudly presents the monster to the queen, telling her that this monster is as freakishly strong as an orc, but as smart as an average human, which removes the one downside of orcs, which is their poor intelligence. The monster immediately breaks off from the chain and rushes towards the queen, who shouts in horror, but Nambu tells her not to be scared, and immediately his guards make a circle around the monster and stab it from all sides, killing it in an instant. The queen seems to be very impressed, and Nambu tells her that he can provide several hybrid monsters like these, and she can use them in her army. After that, no one can defeat her or even think to deny her orders. The queen is delighted after hearing this, thanks Nambu for his hard work, and reassures him that he will be paid for his troubles. They were just about to leave when the idiot Hero, who just wants to play the hero of a story, walks from behind the rock towards them, giving them a moralistic speech about how it is wrong to use human lives like that. But he doesn't say anything about the life of the orc, which makes me suspect that he is secretly racist and probably gay. The queen asks Nambu who this pathetic boy is, and Nambu replies that he is just another piece of entertainment for her. Nambu tells his guards to back off and steps in front to fight Hero. Hero goes for his sword and realizes that it has been broken in the last fight, but this hopeless loser tells Nambu that it doesn't matter, and that he can very easily defeat Nambu with just his bare hands. Nambu draws his sword and the fight starts. Hero jumps towards him with a punch, but Nambu is easily able to dodge it. Hero quickly tries to punch him again, but Nambu dodges and counters with the blunt end of his sword, giving him a good bonk. He then puts his sword on his throat, ending the duel, and tells his guards to capture the idiot and bring him with them. On the other end, Pal and the others emerge back from the magical chest and are shocked to see so many dead guards and a piece of Hero's sword. But most of all, they are concerned about the main Chad of their company, Juru. They wander around the area and finally spot Juru lying in the dirt, unconscious and badly hurt. Tom tries to wake him up, but he doesn't get up. Sarah goes up to him and touches him on the hand, which for some reason wakes him up immediately, and the first thing he asked about is if Hero is safe. We all need a gem like Juru in our lives who cares about us so much. Nambu takes Hero back to his camp and ties him up to a chair, which seems very kinky, but believe me, it is just for torture. He brings out a bag of his favorite torture devices, which seem very vanilla to me, to be honest. He brings out a knife and walks up to Hero, telling him that he is now going to torture him and get as much information out of him as he wants, but Hero can just skip the painful part and tell him all the information he needs, and he will let Hero go. He asks Hero about the dragon and what he knows about its ceiling. Hero, however, keeps his mouth shut. I don't know why, because everyone already knows about the entire story, which is very famous. My guess is that this is the first time he is getting attention from someone and he is enjoying it, so he wants to keep it going for some time. Nambu tells him that he will have to slice him piece by piece if he doesn't start speaking, but Hero acts tough and tells him to do his worst, but by the time Nambu reaches him, he starts pleading for mercy and telling Nambu not to hurt him. I have never seen such a joke from an MC before. Nambu was about to torture him, but he hears commotion from outside as the queen has some complaints regarding the hospitality, and he goes to deal with it, telling Hero to chill where he is. Hero quickly unties his legs, I don't know how, and gets out the crest that he bought from the first city and starts using it to cut himself loose, but suddenly, the doctor enters the room. Hero gets scared, thinking that the doctor will now torture him or tell on him, but even the doctor thinks that Hero is so insignificant that he doesn't spare him anything more than a fleeting glance and starts using his device to find something. He then runs the device on Hero, and it starts beeping. The doctor asks him whether he has seen Sarah, and Hero replies yes before asking how the doctor knows about her. The doctor looks at him and replies that he created her in the first place. Hero replies that he found him in the desert, and she started following him after hearing his heartbeat. The doctor checks his heartbeat and tells him that his heartbeat is different from others because he doesn't have his own original heart anymore. He refuses to explain anymore. Hero is able to free himself and tries to strangle the doctor, but he is so weak that the doctor doesn't even notice him for a very long time, and as soon as he sees him, he simply throws him on the floor. Hero accepts that he is a pathetic loser and basically cries to the doctor that he cares about Sarah, and that if he stays here, she will get sad. The doctor really cares about Sarah, so he gives him a potion and tells him to drink it and focus on Sarah. He does so, and suddenly he starts floating in the air before suddenly falling from the sky, right near Sarah and the others, who were trying to figure out where he was captured. He tells them that they have to leave as soon as possible. They all go back to a cave where they spend the night, and the next morning, Hiro tells them about everything that happened once they got separated. He told them about how he was saved by an old doctor, who seemed to know Sarah and must have deeply cared for her, as he only let him go for Sarah's sake. Just then Sarah points out that ever since yesterday, Hiro has been smelling like daddy, which excites Hiro a bit, but then he realizes she's talking about the doctor, as he's her creator, so her dad. He tells them about the conversation between him and the doctor, where the doctor told Hiro that his heart is not his own and he is using someone else's heart right now, which is inhumanly strong. Jiru's face suddenly loses its color. Hiro asks what's wrong, and Jiru sheepishly replies that for the past couple of years he has been reading up on magical scriptures, even though he cannot perform any magic. He wanted to learn as much as possible about the incident that killed Hiro's parents. He wanted to know every detail, so that if the time came to seal the dragon again, he would succeed in doing so. Another reason for him studying magic was because he was extremely surprised by the fact that Hiro, a 6-year-old boy, survived that horrible disaster while hundreds of other gifted magicians and soldiers died. He has been working on a theory, and when Hiro told him about the doctor's statement, his theory gained more weight. He replies that he believes the heart that Hiro currently has belongs to the evil dragon Zot. Hiro looks up at him and tells him to never make a joke like that again, but Jiru tells him to hear him out once. He replies that he believes that when the disaster occurred and the dragon was going to kill Hiro, his father cast a very strong and very dark protection magic that protected Hiro, but at a cost. His heart got interchanged with the dragon's heart, and that is where he got the scar from. He tells them that this theory makes the most sense, especially after he noticed that when the dragon appeared in the last city, he protected Hiro from anything that might take his life. Hiro attacked him, but the dragon merely swatted him away, even though he could have very easily killed Hiro, and when the soldiers shot arrows at him, the dragon defended him. Hiro goes pale hearing it and asks Jiru whether what he is saying is the truth. Jiru looks him straight in the eye and says yes, he believes so. He believes that the dragon's heart is sealed within Hiro's, and Hiro's heart is sealed within the dragon, giving them matching scars on their chests. And that was also the reason why Hiro suddenly felt an overwhelming boost in power when he was getting tortured, as all the anger in the dragon's heart turned into strength, and finally it burst, resulting in Hiro getting converted into a dragon form temporarily. Hiro gets very broody and goes outside to brood alone like the emo boy he is. Jiru and Pal follow him and tell him not to worry about things too much. Hiro, however, replies that if what Jiru says is the truth, then the dragon and Hiro are connected to each other, and if either of them dies, the other dies with him. This makes Hiro's vow to avenge his parents borderline impossible, because if he is even able to kill the dragon, he will die nonetheless. Pal steps up his game and comforts Hiro. He tells him that a lot of magic is reversible in nature, and there is a good chance that the magic that binds both him and the dragon together can be reversed, and that could be possible with a very strong magician who has a very strong magical item. Hiro the simpleton immediately starts feeling hopeful and jumps up, saying that all they have to do is get the ore that belonged to his father back from Nambu, hand it over to a very strong magician, and ask him to heal Hiro, and the job is done. Then he can kill Zot and take his revenge. They start traveling once again, and while traveling, they reach an abandoned village that seems to be ravaged by an army. They are very confused as to what happened in the village as the wells were still working, and when an army attacked, they made sure that they dried out the wells so no one could come and settle down here again. They wander around in the village and find a lot of claw marks all over the place, and the place is littered with dead bodies. Jiru seems to be very lost in his thoughts while he is here, and we get to know that this village once belonged to Jiru. His father used to be the chief of the village who ended up marrying a human woman and having Jiru with her. They were a happy family, but many members of their community did not like this interracial relationship and staged a coup once, which succeeded. They were able to capture both Jiru's dad and his mom, but Jiru was successfully able to hide from them. His parents were then killed, and he ran away from the village. That's when Hiro's parents rescued him, brought him back to their country, and treated him like one of their comrades, making him eternally grateful to them. They all start wandering around, and suddenly Tom starts screaming, runs out of the house, and tells everyone to run away, as the monster who did all this was still hiding in one of the houses. The monster emerges from the house, and Hiro is shocked to see that it is the same kind of monster that he saw Nambu create earlier for the queen. I cannot believe how pathetic Hiro can be, and at this point he should just quit being a person and maybe transform into an earthworm. He again rushes at the monster brainlessly to attack it, but he doesn't even have a sword with him, and the monster swats him away easily. Again, Jiru is forced into a bad position, where he has to defeat the monster while also protecting the loser, Hiro. He blocks the next attack of the monster, but he himself hasn't healed completely yet and isn't at his full potential. Both the monster and Jiru run at each other, and Jiru swings his sword, but the monster dodges his blow and kicks him away. The monster then jumps at Hiro, but he dodges away, falling back. Tom screams at Hiro to transform into the temporary dragon form, and this huge idiot, who has no idea how he transformed in the first place, stands in front of the monster and starts trying to convert into a dragon. It seriously looks like he has constipation when he is doing that, and the monster doesn't seem to appreciate this view, so he attacks him once again. Thankfully though, Jiru runs up from behind and slashes the monster into two, saving Hiro once again, while Hiro breathes heavily, knowing that the journey is getting dangerous and will keep getting dangerous. And if he wants to survive and see the end of his saga, he needs to become stronger as fast as possible, because if anything happens to Jiru, his